Hello, we're the Carrolls. We've been in Brazil for over 13 years, and we're reporting on work in northeast Brazil for the last 3+ years since we've been on a furlough. And in short, we went from this group in Arco Verde, in our church plant there, to this group. And in our other church plant in Tupanatinga, we went from this group to this group. And so that's the short end of it, but basically there's a lot more that goes into there. This whole term, Sarah has been working on her master's degree in biblical counseling, and as of October 2022, we'll have completed that. And she has already been using it to counsel both inside our church and around Brazil, and even through phone calls to the U.S. as well. We've held a good bit of modules in this time. We really have gotten the in-church, local church leadership training going. And we have a good rhythm for that in the Arco Verde church. That is also, we also use that as Setaki, which is a training center, and with goals in the future of broader training. We did get hit by the pandemic, just like the whole world, and it definitely was not the greatest thing for us, but we are back on track since the pandemic, and that had its difficulties, but also its learning moments. This year, we've really been reminded of why Brazil still needs missionaries in seeing the bad theology around Brazil and even in our churches that comes in from the culture, from all the different churches' influence. And we just see that we need gospel-oriented churches that are healthy churches that are following scriptures. And we want to do that by raising up healthy churches, but also being able to influence the churches around us. Gospel-driven churches are rare, and the statistics that boast of the gospel in Brazil includes all varieties of evangelical churches, even ones that we would call cults. And so it really is a little bit deceiving what kind of gospel is in Brazil. And so we really want to work on that. As we return to Brazil for our next term, we will be losing our co-workers in Arco Verde, Roger and Marcy Smith, to retirement. And so that will be a major change for us. And so we will really be depending more on national leadership that we have been raising up. It's a long process, and it is going okay. Not great, not terrible, but it's going okay, and it needs time, and that's fine. We really want to have a strong leadership team that can help us plant churches and continue to teach leadership training in Brazil. And Sarah will continue with counseling, and we really have a long-term vision for this region of planting healthy churches. We have a couple opportunities around us for other church plants that we have already been involved in. I did a Bible study in one town called Pesqueira, and we also have a social ministry mainly to one neighborhood in our community that could also be a future church plant. And so there are lots of options out there, and there's a lot of work to do.
Since we arrived in Arco Verde in 2014, we have worked closely with Roger and Marcy Smith, who are veteran missionaries and are on their third church plant. And so that has been great as far as experience goes, and getting wisdom, running a church and pastoring, and a lot of decisions. But they will be retiring on our return. We've also worked with Sarah Rogers, who we met in Germany in 2019, and she ended up coming down here for a couple years to work with us, so we were able to just work with her, and she has worked with the youth and especially with Evelyn, invested a lot of time with her. And so on our return, Roger and Marcy will be retiring, and Sarah won't be here anymore, so we won't have any partners. Maybe you would consider working here in the Sertão with us as we seek to develop leaders, plant churches, and reach out to the Brazilians of Northeast Brazil. Thanks so much for your support, your love, your prayers. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to continuing to work in Northeast Brazil.